Doing?
Brother, it's another Sunday night.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. It's supposed to be assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, that too.
I like the Lakers too. We took a week off for the Super Bowl. I feel like a backslider, bro.
Man, listen. The whole Super Bowl was a backslide.
Yeah, all of our wives backslid when Usher came out. Alicia Keys' voice backslid. And then the 49ers coaching backslid.
Man.
Lord have mercy. Well, welcome everyone to Religiously Incorrect.
Yes, sir. We are first of all brought to you by the African American Community Fund. The African American Community Fund, established in 2020 at the Foundation for Appalachian Ohio, supports Black-led and Black-serving organizations throughout the 32 counties of Appalachian Ohio to elevate the quality of life and address disparities in African American communities. Check them out at www.appalachianohio.org or call them at 740-753-1111 Appalachian, Ohio.
Elder Carter getting in on it. She said the ruffled socks were backsliding too.
Man, you find out them socks was $6,000, man.
They ain't worth a dime.
$6,000.
And they're not worth a dime. I don't care who designed them. I don't care whose name is on them. Those were super trash. And yes, I thought that was CeeLo Green too. I really did. Because you never know. Everything looks so weird on the Super Bowl, like the way it's so big. You wouldn't have known it was Jermaine Dupri, which we all forgot about. I mean, we forgot this cat existed, even though he is the A.
The funny thing is, his outfit looked like the outfit I wore to the prom.
It might be the outfit you wore to the prom.
Pharrell dressed him.
Pharrell dressed him?
Pharrell dressed him, yeah.
Well, you know how we say them are not your real friends? Pharrell is not his real friend for dressing him like that.
My brother.
Props to Usher. The halftime show was bomb.
Once again, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, that the performance was better than the main event.
The performance, for the most part, was better than the main event. And most of the game was garbage until about the fourth quarter. And it really wasn't even good. It was suspenseful at the end. Yeah. Even though we all knew that Patrick Mahomes was going to pull it out once they gave him some time. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that was
I mean, when
bad.
A brother can come out in skates, Alicia came out in a devil red outfit,
Send me to hell then.
He skated up under somebody's legs. I'm like,
dude did it.
Dude, you doing a whole lot.
Dude did it. He put it all on the line for that show, though. He put it all on the line.
He did. And when Luda came out, that was all,
Yeah, Luda came out.
That was it for me.
It was like,
yes, sir.
It was a good time. But hey, he's one of the few stars that can really meet the moment.
Yeah.
And feel the stage. And so he's done it. Still not better than my man's Prince show. Still not better than Prince's show. Even though I think the spectacle and the hits and all probably hit harder. But I think Prince just brought the mystique with him. You just can't really compare it with that.
Once again, I'm going to say this, and I said it on Facebook. I'm going to say, half of y'all talking about Alicia can't carry a
You're
note.
Right. Can't carry a note in a bucket.
In a bucket.
And we also won't sing at the Super Bowl either, though. So, I mean,
she messed up on one note.
No, she is a habitual messer-upper. And she is known for being pitchy.
She is a habitual messer, but she also
not a singer.
She also sings live. She doesn't do the.
Well, she needs to go ahead and
she doesn't do the.
She go ahead. She needs to, because she's beautiful. She's talented, but she is not a natural stage singer. She is known for being very, very pitchy. She's known for it, and so I commend, because I love live sound and all. But maybe some people,
Milli Vanilli.
They fixed it.
Oh yeah, I
on
saw
the replays.
fixed it on.
NFL fixed it. Like, we're not going to keep the original video and compare them. That's just so.
Yeah, that made it worse.
That did make it worse, because now you just kind of kept it going.
I think you should just stuck with what she said. I mean, it was cold outside.
Right.
It was very cold. Her voice wasn't warmed up.
She didn't have her tea.
Huh? She didn't have her tea?
Yeah, she didn't have
Well,
her
I mean, asking someone to start on that note. I mean, there are certain songs where just starting the song is brutal. And I mean, I give her grace. I'm just joking about her saying. But again, she is known for being a little tonal. But I'm saying that song, if you do have issues, like I'm a big proponent of protecting yourself as a performer and like doing your strengths. I do it in the church all the time. Do what your strength is. Do not put yourself out there if you know there's a chance it could go left field.
Everybody can't sing like me.
Everybody can sing like Pastor
us.
Jeff.
You know what I mean? We can't. You can't do. You know, some people. Okay,
there it is.
So
there it is.
See, I done that a little bit. Just
views just went up by 1,000%. Right there, right there. Well, I want to say this at the top of the show because we often say things at the bottom of the show that have to do with community events and all, and we are not an announcement type show.
Right.
But because it is election year, I want to make sure that you know that there is a candidates night coming up, sponsored by Action, who is one of the sponsors of this show.
Absolutely.
Second Baptist Church, which our entire congregation lurks and watch the show all the time, even though they don't tell me. And go ahead and put the graphic up, Big Mike. On Tuesday, February 20th at 6 p.m., we're having a candidates night sponsored by Action, Second Baptist, and I Vote Black. And we are ensuring that the candidates running for office in Trumbull County, as well as some statewide offices, that they are invited and that they come to our community, our neighborhood, and speak to our people about our concerns. Because
if you want our vote.
If you want our vote. And we should all stand on that. That if you want our vote, you have to be more than of a certain party, which again, I'm not a party basher, but I'm just super cautious about us just throwing our support just because of party when you don't hear a person out. Even if you are my preferred party, you should still earn my vote.
Absolutely.
So Tuesday night, 6 p.m., want to see you there. Candidates night at Second Baptist Church. You not only get to hear from the candidates, but you also get to speak to the candidates. And so it'll be live in person at the Second Baptist Church, and it'll also be streamed as well. But please, as we always say in church, don't let streaming keep you away, because honestly, there's just something about the power of the people being there and the candidates, the politicians, the political parties, the figureheads seeing that we are willing to come out because it matters to us. They don't get to see who's watching on a phone and who's not watching. So I think that's important. Anything you want to add to that, Jeff?
I first of all, thank you so much for that. And I'll talk about it a little bit more when I do the ad for Action. Just want to throw out there real quick that CMC will be holding one tomorrow in Youngstown.
Yes,
Amen.
CMC, Community Mobilization Coalition.
They will be holding one in
Youngstown.
Youngstown. But I want to give a big shout out, and I know he'll never do it himself, but a big shout out to Pastor Todd, who held the men's Brotherhood rally yesterday.
Yes, Brotherhood Summit.
Brotherhood Summit.
Yes,
Summit. Over 100 black men came out yesterday, and it was just, I didn't get a chance to come last year because I was working, but this year, listen, I took off. I gave a donation of over $300 because I took off work to be. But listen, it was absolutely phenomenal to see these brothers and to listen to these brothers and to fellowship and eat with these brothers. It was absolutely phenomenal. I got a chance to share, and it was just share out, and it was just talk about Action itself, and it was just great, man. And it's just, oh, how good it is
for men to dwell together,
to see men dwell together.
See black men,
yeah,
positive, encouraging each other. Hearing all the ones that are doing work, and it was only a snippet. We couldn't ask everybody who does something positive in the city, but we picked some. We're a little partial to second because we have some great brothers in our church that do things, but we'll also extend it beyond. There we go. See, we got the greatest producer ever. But we will extend it beyond. But to see what is happening within the community, resources that are available to our community, we also want to shout out the African American Wellness Agency.
Yes.
And the African American Wellness Day, which was known as the Wellness Walk. That's coming up August 3rd. We're going to keep talking about it. We're going to find a way to get John Oliver on here.
Absolutely.
Get Elder Oliver on here and talk about that. But while we're talking about brothers, I want the brothers to know that they need to get to their local sneaker store ASAP and get a hold of these kicks. I need you to see him, Pastor Jeff, for the first time. Show these joints. Show these joints, the Trump 24s. These are the Trump 24s. Dunking on America.
They're called the January 6th.
They're not called the January 6th.
Yeah, January 6th. I'm telling you.
He said, listen, he called them the January 6th for real?
Yeah.
Okay, he said, listen, y'all. The next time y'all climb the walls, y'all gonna have some good grip.
These are some Wonder Woman meet Captain America.
Not Captain America.
Wonder Woman meet Captain America meet Michael Jordan in his first
club.
year.
Meet the Players Club.
Look like somebody spray painted those and put some glitter on. Stop it.
Glenn said they're red bottoms.
Listen, we just saw.
I love
they're
it.
selling for like $6,000-$9,000.
They were. She said, I'll lead oceans before Janet said, I'll root for the Steelers before I wear it. Listen. These foil pan looking. Look like
Is the shoestrings gold too?
Look like the Teen Titans tee.
Right. Yes, it does. Yes.
Look like the Teen Titans tee going on here. This is just bad, man.
I want to see him wear them.
And see, that's what I'm saying. You put them on.
Yes. Yeah.
You put them on. So the January 6th, I love it. You gonna outrun the police in these.
Man, you ain't gonna outrun nobody.
If you have
else.
them on, I mean, does that mean you won't get arrested or something, or does it not matter? It's still, if you're one of him,
you put them on, you gonna get sued because that's what happens. You keep on getting sued.
He said toes going first.
They started out at $399.
$399,
which is too much to begin with.
But it was $199 to $399, but now
they sold out. Everybody bought them up.
They're lying,
and they're reselling them on eBay up to $9,000.
I don't believe they sold out. I believe they just make up. Nobody knows what the inventory really was, or how many really got sold. It's probably like those authors that buy their own books, or studios that buy tickets to their own movies.
I tell you what, though. I mean, even if they did, though, if this cat happens to win, they're gonna be worth some money.
No, they're gonna be worth money anyway. But there's two places you're gonna end up seeing these shoes. In somebody's club. Some rapper is gonna wear them, or somebody's gonna wear them.
Kanye probably got a couple pair now. Kanye probably rocking them now.
And okay, here's the last place they're gonna end up at. They're gonna end up on some African kids when they get thrown away and donated overseas. They're gonna end up getting donated to like Goodwills and stuff. And one day, 13 years from now, you gonna walk into a Goodwill and see some Trump tees
for 99 cents,
some Jan 6s, some Jan 6s being given away. Oh man, I can't get over it, man.
Wow,
I can't get over it. Gold shoes. Gold patent leather, probably pleather. Look like Mr. T's design.
That is horrible.
They had to be gold because that's his.
Well, come on. I mean, what else? I mean,
so
this guy can't win, man. But if he does, what are we gonna do?
Keep on living, Doc.
I bet you he's gonna have more merch coming out. I think this is just gonna be a gimmick campaign. I think this whole thing at this point is gonna be a gimmick campaign, and I think it's gonna be purposeful to distract from his faults and his trials. He's just gonna keep coming up with stuff because we're gonna talk about this instead of the fact that he's getting
Trump
sued.
Shoes and the 49ers Super Bowl shirt.
Right. Trump, all in Africa. That's the crazy thing. So for the past 58 years, all the poor kids in Africa think the wrong person won the Super Bowl because all the wrong shirts get sent to the impoverished places, which is a shame, but at least they have something for them. Speaking of, and I just want to throw this in, and I mean 2 minutes. Speaking of Trump's trials, our girl Fannie Willis went off, man.
Yes, she did.
Her and her daddy went off. She said, stay out of a black woman's business.
Absolutely.
And then when the daddy took the stand and said, yeah, I tell my daughter to hold cash. All black people hold cash. Every black person in the world was like, amen. The white people were like, who pays for cash? Black people were like, all of us do. Money under mattresses, money in bras, money in shoe boxes, everywhere.
Yes, sir.
I mean, and she went in. She went straight. Real Housewives of the Atlanta prosecutor's office on that poor lady. She didn't know what she was getting into. And then Daddy Pope showed up. And Daddy Pope showed up. And like, you think you're going to intimidate this black man in the South? Like, for real?
Listen, y'all go in your... Listen, let me hip y'all. Y'all go in y'all mama's room right now to her panty drawer and lift up that one bra. It's about
$4,000 in that piece.
Under that one bra.
Soul Food, it was in the back of the TV.
Yeah,
we'll put money anywhere. We don't care. We do not care. Shoot, you can pop my tire and money will fall out in my car.
Because we don't want to put it in the bank. We're afraid the bank's going to close down. We don't trust the bank. Forget the bank.
But yeah, man. So shout out to Fannie Willis. It's been real. She really took it. She really took it to him, man. So, but again, it was all a distraction.
Yeah.
Everything this man's gonna do for the next 6 months is gonna be a distraction. I'm telling you, it's gonna be distractions. And Joe Biden is old. That's what it's gonna be. And by the way, Joe Biden is old, so it is what it is. So we've said enough, but we haven't said quite enough because it's time for Meme of the Week.
Meme of the Week. Meme of the Week.
Welcome to Religiously Incorrect, ladies and gentlemen.
Meme of the Week. Meme of the Week.
Thank you. Send us your memes of the week.
Meme of the Week. Meme of the Week.
We are, these are all jokes. We are just playing.
All right, so we got a double feature for you today. All right, we got a double feature of Meme of the Week because I couldn't choose just one. So let's start with this one. This past Wednesday, of course, if you are saved, paper book saved, show enough saved, tearing at the altar saved, it was Ash Wednesday, which means you didn't do anything but put ash on your forehead and put on sackcloth and fast. But for the rest of the heathens, it was Valentine's Day. For the rest of the heathens, it was Valentine's Day. Right. I was gonna say something. It's a Christian show, so we'll wait till the show goes off. But so our brother in Christ, Elder Mark Moore, down in Atlanta, Georgia, he has done a reminder for the last few years for all of you sisters out there that think you have a very special Valentine. Elder Mark Moore has a message for you. I want you to play that message.
Jesus is not your Valentine. I can't hear no amen lights. He is not.
Jesus is not your Valentine. He's not your
husband,
boyfriend.
your boo thing.
He's not your bae. And you know what? I'm going to go a step further. He's not your daddy God.
I'm dying.
He's not your papa father. I mean, he is, but I'm tired of hearing these words. I'm tired of hearing these weirdo words. Jesus is not your Valentine. If you don't have a man and you love Jesus, then you're just a single Christian.
Just say I'm single.
You're just a single Christian. And maybe the reason you're a single Christian is because you talk so much to Jesus, you don't have time to talk to nobody else. But that does not make him your Valentine.
He's married to the whole church. You're not exclusive.
You're not exclusive.
You're not exclusive.
He's in a polyamorous relationship, and you are just one of the concubines. You're just one. To be truthful about it, he's in love with all of us.
Amen.
So you had to share it with all of us anyway. All right, here's this.
Fault.
Oh, my bad. So
That's me.
So he's not your Valentine, and it's still out there. You know, I don't need a man because I have Jesus. No, you need a man, and Jesus wants you to get one
in a hurry.
Right. So you can stop telling us. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, as offensive as it is. If you're constantly posting on Facebook about how Jesus is sending you a man, but you're not doing any of the basics to talk to, interact with, go where a good man might be, then I would suggest that you're just not going to get one. And
it's okay. If your house need painted, paint it.
Correct.
If you need to put some makeup on, put some makeup on.
cinch it up.
Okay. It's
Retch
all right.
around here.
Retch around.
Retch around.
Go get you one of them $500 wigs.
Bro,
Make it work.
Spanks it. Whatever it takes.
That's it.
Whatever
That's
it takes.
Pull it in.
Listen, do what you got to do. So I'm grateful that message is out just in case. But in case, you're still looking, Valentine's candy is 75% off. So go get you some. Here's our second feature of Meme of the Week. It's the double feature Meme of the Week. I dedicate this one to Mike Marsh. Big Mike, the producer of Not Only Religiously Incorrect. No matter the level of anointing in a church, the cameraman never fails.
Man, it'd be hard sometimes.
Do you ever notice that the only one in the church
It don't fall out.
that don't
pass
fall out,
run around.
is the one with the camera? I have seen many. Okay, Carla said, I knew it. Karen's probably watching too. We're probably about to hear from her. God sent Glenn to the church to find me. God sent Glenn to church to go to church.
You can stop going to church now, Glenn. You
Right,
found your wife. You can quit.
Mission accomplished.
God's whole purpose for Glenn.
God didn't want to save Glenn.
God picked him up, turned him around, sent him to the church to find Carla.
That's hilarious. I don't even know if Glenn is saved. He's married. Carla got it before Jesus did. He was trying to go to the altar. She said, I'll take that. No,
My God.
I'm happy for y'all. All right, back to the cameraman. So all of the Benny Hinn crusades I've seen, everybody is always slain but the cameraman.
They be ready.
All of the anointing videos I've seen, everybody is poured out except for the cameraman. It must be like a special, Mike has the anointing of steadiness. It's the stability anointing. But hey, the day you need to put that camera down, brother, just put it on the side and go ahead and get your huckabuck in, man.
I'm gonna shot with the camera.
Bro, listen.
when they see the floor, when they see the picture of the floor and the carpet,
Right.
that's when they know Mike doing it. They know Mike doing
You know how it
it.
just falls on the ground and just it be tilted up at the bottom of a pew, and all you see is feet going by. Now I'll tell you right now, Mike starts shot with that camera. Mother March gonna jump out a window and run up and down Main Street. But send it, Lord.
Send it, Lord. Send it, Lord.
But that always makes me wonder when they have these camera moments and the Holy Ghost falls and the shouting video, like who is holding the camera?
I can't. Do you remember when we was at Agape and you would do the after church jam sessions?
Oh yeah.
And I would be trying to record. I'd be trying to. Then all of a sudden,
It's too.
I'm sorry,
it's too
I
shaky.
can't do
They
it.
think you got a problem.
Let's see what's funny. I had one situation. That second, I'm not gonna say who it was, but the preacher was up. He was going in. And everybody was standing up, shouting, clapping, amen. And I wasn't because I'm looking around. And he made eye contact with me a couple of times.
He was expecting.
Right. Like, what are you doing? Like, you ain't, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And hey, I just kept my cool and did what I did. We talked after, but
Right.
yeah.
You said, I got a mission, brother.
Right.
A charge to keep I have.
That's right. I was watching one video the other day, and the preacher was like, "Don't you move away from that door. Don't you move away from your pole." He's really just urging him.
Right.
Don't stay
Yeah.
right there. Don't you shout now. Don't you.
I call it like the exhortation tease.
Yeah.
It's like teasing people. Don't you do that. Don't you hit that chord. Don't you. Man, just tell them to go ahead and praise God.
Go ahead and praise
Stop that. It's phony.
I'm giving y'all 10 minutes. 10
Right,
seconds. 10 seconds.
It's about to turn into 30 minutes every time.
Every time.
But no, we appreciate you. If you got a meme of the week, send it in to our email at religiouslyincorrectpodcast@gmail.com. We probably won't use it, but
I'm giving y'all 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Hallelujah. Somebody's messed up the whole thing. What did you?
I'm going straight Benny Hinn. Everybody. All right. You can email us at religiouslyincorrectpodcast.com. And we'll be happy to hear from you. But we're always happy to hear from our sponsors, from the Phillips Care family of businesses, Phillips Care Lawn Services. Hey, you should have called them when it snowed the other day, because Lord knows Jeff needed them. But if you need anything having to do with your lawn, snow plowing, any yard work, clean up, make sure you hit up Phillips Care Lawn Services. The groundhog says that spring is coming early. And, you know, we don't believe in Jesus, but we believe in groundhogs. So you might as well get your affairs in order for the springtime. And while you're at it, check out Phillips Care Cleaning Service. They do residential and commercial floor cleaning, basic cleaning, maintenance, renovations, upholstery, move in and move out services. Call my man Fernando at 330-219-7916 or look them up on Facebook at Phillips Care LLC.
And we are also brought to you by Action, the Alliance for Congregational.
This cat came in with
It's what this is.
doggone R. Kelly voice.
Listen.
He said, we're coming with Action. Are you ready for some action?
I'm going on. now you got me coughing.
Foster brother got SARS over here. What's going on?
Action, the Alliance for Congregational Transformation Influence in our neighborhoods. Again, as Pastor Todd told you, we are proud to hold our third Trumbull County Candidates Forum Tuesday night, 6 o'clock at the historic Second Baptist Church. Please, listen, come out. Don't just come out. Don't just vote. Get informed. Find out who these candidates are, what they believe, what they're going to help make sure they have your self-interest at heart. Amen. So come on out to Second Baptist. Believe me, it's going to be wonderful and it's going to be informative. So I'm looking for you all to be there. Tell a friend, bring a friend, go pick them up.
That's right.
Grab the WRTA. Get an Uber.
Carla, bring Glenn. All right, so be sure to take a quick second and like and share this video. Tag somebody in the comment section because our subject for the night, the remainder of the evening, is no place is safe. No place is safe. And by that, we mean even the church is not immune from violence, from attacks, from violent activities. Vandalism. I mean, all of that. No place is safe. And we are in prayer. And I mean, no jokes, nothing just in this second, but our friends at Lakewood Church, our brothers in Christ, Pastor Osteen, in the Lakewood family, and the disturbed person who committed that act, who is now deceased, and the child that was involved, who apparently is still in critical condition, a 7-year-old child. But play the video, Mike. This is just a recap for those of you that didn't hear on Super Bowl Sunday.
The shooter is dead and a 5-year-old is in critical condition after a shooting at a Houston area mega church, the Lakewood Church, run by celebrity pastor Joel Osteen. Police say a woman in her 30s entered the building with a long rifle and a child and opened fire. Off-duty officers working at the church exchanged gunfire. No word on the woman or child's identity.
So there was a shooting at the church, apparently between services, just prior to a Hispanic-based service that they have, I think, in the afternoon. So I think they'd had their early service or services, and they were getting ready for their afternoon service that serves the Hispanic population, which in Houston is obviously massive. Right. And they have a great deal of ministry to Hispanics down there in the Texas area. And there is a video actually on Twitter, and it's probably on Facebook and other, of the announcer of that. They did like a studio preview, hearing the shots while he's talking to the camera.
Wow.
And does not know exactly, what they discover quickly. It's one of those moments where you realize what's happening. And shots, are being fired. And fortunately, there were 2 off-duty officers who saw the lady come in and pull out the rifle, and they immediately returned fire, and she is deceased. They had to take her down. And unfortunately, she had a child with her. And so we know there's a disturbance here. We obviously know there's a mental disturbance, a demonic disturbance, and I'm not trying to, for my friends at home, I'm not saying, mental and demonic are always the same. But I just still in my spiritual mind have a hard time when you get something that dastardly and someone who is just so in a place to put a child in the middle of whatever issues that they are dealing with. But whatever the case is, they had to take her out. The child was shot. And
now, have we heard, was that her child?
I believe it was.
Okay.
It was her child.
I'm kind of, when I saw it, I was wondering, if she thought because she had a child with her that they would not return fire.
I mean, but some people do take their children along with them when they are in a distressed situation. And unfortunately, we've seen that happen. I mean, we just saw that up here in Ohio with this foster mother or whoever it was, and the 5-year-old is deceased. We've seen people run their children off of cliffs and, drive themselves and their kids in the rivers and all of this, It's ridiculous. Was it Susan Smith to blame the black person for the kids that time? So that's tragic all around. That's number one. Tragic, her circumstance, whatever brought her to that place.
And I do want to give kudos to the cops or the off-duty officers. Yeah. Because, although I do believe she may have thought, I have this kid, it is better for one person, even if it's a kid. We don't know how bad this could have got him.
We don't.
You don't know.
We don't. And I'm sure they ensured to try not to.
Right. The cops had to, we have two choices here. Right. In an instant. You know what I mean?
And the crazy thing is that you mentioned that even if she was by herself, those individuals who step up to defend, and there are instances, even though statistics prove that the whole good guy with a gun thing does not bear out nearly as much as we think. But when it does, we are very grateful that it does have its effect and neutralize a threat. But people have to make that decision in a split second if there is no other consideration.
Absolutely.
So they have to decide where the threat is, how quickly can they get this shot off and take this person down without harming anybody else. And then they had to do it with a child being present and probably having to think about in the split second how they were going to try to not hit. But also, again, you're talking about a person with a long gun. This is not something that you can wait too long to address.
Absolutely.
But overall, it brings to light once again the issue of church safety.
Well, for it was right before the pandemic, we were going into that. Everybody was having these people come in and doing these
safety seminars,
and
there were grants.
And then you had, even myself, I don't know if you have, we've had to find out who actually is caring in church.
That's what I was going to say. And we were going to get to that part about, you have to know who is who within your church. I don't know when it became a thing in average churches. And I say average because I think a lot of your larger churches had already had systems to manage people. But at some point, and maybe somebody out there knows, when a church was less than 300 or 400 people, say, started to believe that we need more than an usher board, and deacons and just a few men. We need to have a security ministry, or we need people who are security trained, or we just need to take a deeper look at security overall concerning our properties and our, facilities. And I can imagine having been, and you have too, been to larger cities where I remember as a kid and just a young man and minister going to church, and you kind of go to a larger church, go to Cleveland, or even New York or Philly or whatever, and you see bars over the windows and you see gates around the parking lot and you see all that and you're like, man, that's overkill. I would never see that in my little town. You know what I mean? In our churches, you just walk through parking lots and walk right up to the door and this, that, and the other. In our parents' day, a lot of the churches were just open.
Absolutely.
During the day.
During the day, yes.
Like if there was a secretary on duty or just a cleaning man there, you could just walk in, and it, like doggone color purple. You know what I mean? Like the preacher just hanging out.
But the thing was, they had respect for the church.
Well, that's where we need to start.
And that's what, you wouldn't catch somebody sitting on a church property, smoking a cigarette and drinking
playing loud music and doing things like that.
Pulling in the parking lot, doing God knows what.
Shoot music videos.
Shoot music video. Listen, I found out later somebody shot a music video in our church parking lot.
Really?
Yes, at like 2 a.m. Yes.
I wasn't lying.
Whoever you are, I still haven't seen this video. But they came to the church parking lot at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
To shoot a rap video, and we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that, Scott. That's exactly what we want to talk about. But they came and shot a video. So they didn't have, I mean, again, there used to just be some things that were, KK, I never even said anything about it to KK. I just got word
My
later
bad. I
on.
spilled the beans. My bad.
And I'm like, if I guess if it comes to light, I'll address it. But first of all, ain't nobody from Warren blowing up. So ain't nobody gonna see this video, first of all. So it doesn't matter. But again, Pastor Jeff is right. This might not seem like security to you, but I think it leads into security issues later when the church property and grounds and facilities are seen as common where anybody can do anything at any time.
I have no idea how many times I've literally been driving. I've saw people, and it's not my church.
Yes.
But I've just saw people just standing or sitting and drinking. And I just, hey, brother, don't disrespect
Man, listen.
it. Don't disrespect the church property.
Man, I've done it for brothers and sisters.
Right,
People have done it for us. And sometimes, and so younger people don't know because they were raised, again, you got to remember, like, these young kids, nah, they parents, they uncles, they aunts, they started that. And let's be honest, we bear some blame too, because we stopped reverencing the house of God and the properties of the church too.
Yeah.
We went through those phases of it's just a building. Mm-hmm. They're just pews.
Yeah.
Y'all got all these traditions about walking across the pulpit and don't touch the table, And we started to like beat on that. We started to beat that down. And again, I'm not saying we should be legalistic or obsessive with physical things, but I say it all the time, you will not find other religions treating their houses of worship and their properties that way. I wish you would go up in a mosque and try to shoot a video or cut up or have a dance or act silly or tell somebody it's just a podium or just a prayer rug or just a prayer cloth or just a wash basin or whatever it is that different religions. They'll never accept that.
I remember my grandfather was not even a saved religious man at all. But I remember walking with him, and he was drinking. We had drinking, and he literally walked across the
street.
And went around.
I will not walk on the same side of the street. Hide it behind their back.
Yes.
Put cigarettes out. Now we're having whole debates about whether or not we should let young men wear hats in church. And you know who's advocating for it? The musicians who play for the church. It's just a hat, bro. So I'm saying, again, it doesn't seem, and I know I sound like the old school guy, but what I'm saying is I'm drawing a line that once you break that down, there used to be an idea that, and maybe there's a larger cultural thing to this, because schools were once that place too.
Yeah.
And universities were once that place too. And courthouses were once that place too. But the more we diminish all of our sacred and special spaces as common, and I hate to sound like an old lady or an old person, but like, okay, you remove discipline and reverence and respect from the school, it ain't nothing to walk in one with a gun. And so now we're on that level with the church too. And so again, vandalism is up.
Yes.
Now, churches will get vandalized from time to time. Things happen. It's always gone on. I mean, we have 5 historic windows busted out of our chapel at Second, and the bricks were too big for it to be little kids. It had to be teens and up. They were whole blocks.
And what's the purpose? What is the purpose of throwing a brick through?
Now, again, I've broken a window in my day. You know what I'm saying? I've kicked the ball, thrown a rock. You know, we've thrown the rocks at cars.
Who was I just talking about that with?
You told me.
I was just talking
going out the overpass or something like that.
Was that you?
We've done the snowballs. But I would never, and again, I'm a PK. I'm biased. I'm a PK, all that. So I get it. I just know better. But I would never in a million years, like, throw a snowball at the church window. Like, that'd just be the one place I wouldn't do. So I think, like, properties in general have become personal property, communal property, and now spiritual property have all become fair game for any kind of activity.
Well, that it had to be maybe 10 years ago where No church was safe. Everybody's air conditioning
Was getting stolen.
Everybody.
You know why? Because we were easy marks, man. We were easy marks. We were like, we don't need security. Jesus will protect our church. Hey, we said Jesus will protect our church, and Jesus came by and took the air conditioner.
Cats started putting barbed wire around there.
Joe Threes came out there and started wrapping the horse wire around us. This will keep him out.
I mean, everybody, they was still in air conditioners.
Off of roofs.
Off roofs.
It was
They was getting them. I mean, I'm like, how much is these things worth?
You're going to find out what hell feel like this week. And that's exactly what we got up and said. If you think it's hot in here, hell is a lot hotter. Now let's raise this money. Glenn said we would turn the music down in the car when Rick James was jamming on the 8-track. This sounds awfully personal. With his leather outfit on.
Talking about I love you, Mary Jane.
Right. He wasn't singing the Carla then.
Do you?
As soon as they ride by the church. But honestly, you know the scariest thing in the world when we got our parking lot done? Somebody's going to come in that joint and start doing donuts. Because somebody came in, I kid you not, while we were in Bible study. Cars were in the parking lot and we were in Bible study and they were just tearing up the lot a couple years back before the pandemic. Just tearing up the lot while they were doing prayer meeting. We hadn't even started Bible study. I look out the window and dude is just going. You know, so that starts it. So that's just lack of reverence. That's just, you know, it becomes an open thing that you don't think to yourself, all right, the one place I shouldn't do stuff is in here. One place I shouldn't cut up and be ignorant is in here. The one place I shouldn't be walking in cussing and whatever is in here.
Well, I tell you, one of the hard things about living in a parsonage and staying right next to the church is that I was in my study.
You are the security.
Yeah, I'm in my study like 1 o'clock in the morning. You see cars just creeped way in the back. You know, and I'm like, what do I do? Do I really get out and go over there and ask these people to get out our parking lot? Do we put gates and chains and all that stuff?
They don't pay me enough to get up at 1 o'clock in the morning and go. But
like, hey,
we immediately got the gate. But honestly, we immediately got the gate when we got our parking lot done. And honestly, that had to be the most anxious 2 weeks before the gates got installed. Like, man, I hope something doesn't happen. Because if somebody come up in here and do 15 donuts on our brand new lot, I'll never hear the end of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'll never hear the end of it. But so you have to gate, and people are like, well, why is the church closed off? Why you got fences? Why you got gates? Well, I wish we lived in a world where we didn't have to. I wish we lived in a world where the sanctuary doors could be open all day. And there have been times when I've thought about doing it, and of course I'd have to do a shift with people at this point, or put a camera in there or something. And say, you know, okay, the church is open for prayer for anyone who wants to come.
Now, I've heard of pastors in this area who literally lock the doors during Bible study or during church. You literally got to ring the doorbell to get in.
Yes, because they don't know who's going to walk in.
You don't know, and it's a scary thing.
My grandmother's pastor had to do that because you didn't know, and you so badly want to help. If it's a disturbed person, if it's a person who's drunk, no one's trying to turn anyone away, but we're also not trying to put usually older, vulnerable people, often females, in a place where anything can happen. The gentleman that walked into the Greater Emmanuel AME Church, the mother church, they welcomed him. And he sat there.
Yes.
And we've all, black churches especially, have had that day when that white brother comes in a coat or something, and we like, all right. I mean, I look at that about ushers, and they look at it because you can't take that fear away. So to start with the vandalism thing, I mean, it costs money. I don't care, and I can't say I don't care because I know there are people that will never agree with any investment or any, funds given to church buildings or whatever, but people, for what they believe in and what they value and where they want to worship, have invested years of their lives, their finance, their sacrifice to have a place to worship. And it's more than just some beautiful place to sit in. It's refuge, it's connection, it's community, and it's often open to others in times of need. And for someone to come in there and desecrate it, which is what it is, vandalize it, break windows, pull on doors, rip doors open, take things that don't belong to them, and then say, oh, they're the church, they got it. That's the beginning of it. So it starts with,
or it's just a window.
It's just a window.
It's just, no.
They'll joke, take up an offering.
Yeah.
You know, and the way people will say, like, if I would have put a post, man, it's such a shame people broke a window. Man, it ain't no big deal. All these homeless people out here, forget about their window. And I'm like, that one doesn't have nothing to do with the other.
It's not the point.
But I guess there's the line I wanted to draw. Violation of space will sooner or later lead to violence in that space. Once you've violated the sacredness of that space, it's only a matter of time before violence, though it's never acceptable, it becomes more possible and probable. And here we are now.
We're here.
The Emmanuel Church. There was a Church of God church. It was a Caucasian congregation. I think it was in Texas somewhere. Guy came in the back of the church with a gun and started shooting. And once again, someone with a gun did return fire.
Before we even go, because we ain't even got to get that deep. You have a lady coming up punching Noel Jones' wife in her face.
Yeah.
You know, where is security? I mean, and I understand.
Church fights at funerals.
Church fight at funerals, yes, at funerals. And it just happens, you know, whether or not, you know, this person was out there in the streets doing what they were doing, and your retaliation is going to come at a funeral? That's where you want to retaliate at? Right. At the church where these people are trying to lay this person to rest?
Right.
That's where we want to go and say, I shot up the funeral. That made you big and bad?
And the excuses we will make for it, because again, there's no bad time apparently now to do bad things. Like there's no bad time or space. You know, it used to be meet me outside by the flagpole, you know, whatever. When I see you out, I got a problem with you, I'm gonna tell you about yourself. Now, what that lady, what did Noel Jones' wife do to her? First of all, does it even matter at a base level?
Right.
You know, does it even matter? Because I'm sure that this lady doesn't live 24/7 in the church. If you really felt like you needed to address something or someone, hopefully non-violently, meet her at the mall, doggone it. You know what I'm saying? You know, but to walk in the church, like you said, fights at funerals, it's become more common. And again, because we've lost a sense of reverence, and I know we want to have an understanding of human conditions and situations that cause these, and that has its place. But I'm still saying, I don't care if it's swag, surfing, or swinging on somebody. There's a time and a place for everything.
Absolutely.
There really is. And that's where we need to come. And it's funny because that's funny how we have to tie in violence in church to respect in church, but it's the same in a way. So
what do you do at this point? At this point when, you know, let's just say, you know, you have one of the largest churches in Warren, you know, your offering ain't, you know, kibbles and bits, you know what I mean? So at that particular time, is there a certain, and I don't want you to tell your secrets or how you do it, but you know what I mean?
Well, so that's a funny thing about offerings, because all churches' cash offerings are way down.
That's true.
Everybody's cash offerings are way down, and most of our churches don't do public offerings during service anymore. We do it on the way out, or we do something brief, and then mostly of it's online. But when I first came to the church, and it is a large church, and there were a lot of people coming, have our ebbs and flows, not always massive, but people coming, they already had protocols. Somebody's at every single door during offering. Both exit doors in the back by the pulpit, the doors guarded, and it's not keep the folk in, you know, I'm gonna get this money, lock the doors, I want this offering. But it's, again, when you're a church open to all people, everyone is welcome, everyone is ministered to, nobody is judged, but we still have to exercise common sense. And that goes to Scott's point earlier, if you can find it, when he said, is it irresponsible for a church not to have some sort of security plan or security? I would say, yes, it's irresponsible. Yes. It's just common sense. You are dealing with large amounts of money. it's turned into cybersecurity more than physical security now. After the pandemic, we've had some cybersecurity issues.
Wow.
Of people trying to hack our accounts.
Wow.
Or our giving mechanisms. And churches are easy targets for that because we often don't have IT departments that can put all these crazy, firewalls and stuff up. But again, men would be at every door. And again, it was to secure the people. We're not that hard out for the cash and the money. If somebody walked up and waved a gun, take the basket, doggone it. Take the basket.
Right.
Ain't nobody's life worth that. We're not about to fight over this, that, the other, and I ain't gonna beat the people up when they leave. You gotta make up when we that's y'all let them go. You got to pay. But they had a protocol. And it's funny now that you mention it, we have men who stand at the back now that I walk out, and the offering goes in the back, and we have several men that stand towards the back because that's normally where the people are going out and the few who still give, and we have some people who still give in the basket on their way out. But you just said another thing. I don't mean to tell all your secrets. And that's another good point is because it would be wise for a church to not only have a plan, and I'm talking just for basic security. Here's another thing. If you have children in your church, if you have a children's church, we have sealed off our children's church area in ways that we didn't do when I was first pastor. When I was first pastor, downstairs, you had... and I'm going to address that in 1 second. I'm going to address that comment that Janet just made in 1 second. But when I first came, our bathrooms were downstairs. And the upstairs bathrooms were rarely used at all, only if you were elderly, okay? And you just went past the classrooms or went past the kids, went to bath, everybody's family, But after what we've seen and what we've known, plus the COVID shutdown, when everything was shut down, I got a call the other week that we often, believe it or not, we have to monitor who might be a sex offender. I need to know.
I just talked to my cousin down in Virginia, just found out he took over a church, found out his head deacon was a sex offender, and he has to deal with that. And it's just, and I'm so thankful that the church I now pastor, the sheriff goes to my church. Right. So I'm like, I wish a brother would.
Listen,
I wish a brother would.
We all gonna stand our ground. Now, I want to mention Sister Jeanette. You guys might not be able to see all the comments, but you can probably see it on Facebook. She said most of your men are older. Now, I will correct you. That's actually very inaccurate. Most of our men are not older. We have a wonderful contingency of people in their 30s and 40s and 50s, and they stand up for our church and for
Absolutely.
Me. And I mean that. And the funny, I guess you could say that when I first came a little bit, but that changed quite quickly. But that is a reality for a lot of churches that tend to have older men and women, in a lot of churches. But those of us that have a more mixed contingency, trust me, I feel very confident walking past a Mike and a Marvin. You know what I'm saying? I got some football playing brothers. I got some cats that can chase you down the parking lot. Absolutely. And we have had a couple of disturbed individuals who had an issue. I got to speak to the pastor right now. And a guy comes over with the folder full of, UFO drawings and stuff like that. We literally had that. And trust me, it was, Pastor, go to your office and stay. We got this.
Right.
And they handled it. And luckily, I knew the brother's family, and they reached out to me and said, "I'm sorry that our family member has come. He's had had some issues. He's harmless, but But they handled that, right. And so we need to think for common security and care for our parishioners and visitors, our children, our elderly, and then for the extremes. And unfortunately, just like we always joke that churches are built for Easter and Christmas and Mother's Day for capacity.
Right.
We also have to think of security that way.
Yes.
We have to plan for the worst possible scenario, not just the everyday disturbance.
I always hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Plan for the worst.
I'm so great. Obviously because I'm new to the city. I'm new to Steubenville. I had a couple times where, they've come upstairs and said, Pastor, this is what's going on. This young man, he's not, he's from out, and he's moving differently. We just want you to be aware when you come down what's going on. So, but it's also good to have a church, like you said, with men who are willing to step up, and regardless of what's going on, and not the woman can't do it, but it's just good to have those brothers who are right there, and you already know that if something happened, you got butt and boo them. You know what I mean? It's sometimes it's good not to always have all these good.
You have the best hood names, by the way. You have the very best hood names. We all have Pookie and Ray Ray, but Pastor Jeff has Butt and Boo Boo.
Hey,
which are real people, aren't they?
Yeah, they real people. Yeah, you don't want to mess with them. No.
He's from the Yo. Of course, Butt and Boo Boo are real people.
That's right.
So tell us about your security protocol. If you go to a different church, if you already go to Second, you already know how we roll. Our men stand up strong of all ages. Sister Johnson said, my current church is large and has official security because the bishop gets social media backlash, which will happen. Who is your bishop, by the way? I'm just curious. I know my man, Bishop Wooden. I know he needs some security because he's always talking about Beyonce and them. So you have to have that. And yes, you have to move a little differently at larger services, larger funerals. When we have to do funerals for, like you said, if it's a younger person and we know we're going to get that younger crowd, number one, there's a lot of emotion involved.
Right.
If there's a tragic death, whether it's violence, drugs, or just something. Yes, Bishop Wooden. By the way, my respect and love to Bishop Wooden. We got to get him on the show. He speaks out about quite a bit, so I can understand that his brothers. And by the way, to what Sister McFadden did say about the Malcolm X thing, honestly, that is in a lot of our churches. And the funny thing is, if you do it in our churches, we act like it's overkill and you're worshiping the man.
Right.
That's the thing that kind of ticks me off a little bit is, if I do have those men, which I do, who if you start walking down that aisle and you look suspect, they're going to stand up quickly. The funny thing is, they'll say about the Christian preacher, oh, he thinks he's so grand. Why does he have to have security? Blah, blah, blah. You know who they don't say that about? Louis Farrakhan. They didn't say that about Malcolm X. They don't say that about my dude, Geno Jennings. You know what I'm saying? But so we have to remove the stigma and again, stop picking on the Christian minister who implements the same security measures and shows of strength that you admire in the Muslims. You love the fruit of Islam in the Muslims, but let me have 10 dudes sitting in chairs in front of my pulpit.
What do you think the real purpose of the adjutant or the armor bearer is?
Well,
it is not to carry your Bible. Can I
to look after him?
Yes, it is. It is not to have a good seat and iron your clothes and all that stuff that a lot of these people
probably have them.
Yeah, a lot of these people have them. You do.
These cats is powder boys.
They are taking the arrows before they get to you.
But they should be.
Yeah, should
they should
absolutely.
And even some of these preachers want more powder boys than they want security.
Right. But
again, when you're going somewhere or when you're in your own church and you have people milling around everywhere, you have those people who are near you. I have someone with me by the door, but we also have people other places. And thank you for that comment, Brother Carroll. You do want to be careful about talking about security protocols, and trust me, we're certainly not saying everything.
Absolutely. Right.
But every place should have protocols, and I always ask all of our men, even if you don't serve in some official capacity or a title, be aware of your surroundings and the surroundings of others. If children are being picked up by an adult, make sure it's the right adult. If our ladies are walking out by themselves, you see them got to leave early, somebody should be walking with that person, especially at night, but at any time of the day. So it is wise for any space that has a collection of people in it to have some sort of protocol or security about it. And it is a sad fact of the world, we live in. Now, I guess the question arises now, how deep and intense does that security need to be? So, as we see, having armed men and in some cases women in the church is helpful. Should they be noted as such?
Absolutely.
So you mean they should carry outwardly is what I'm asking?
No. I'm saying when you
Should
said,
we know that they are security?
I think you should know if who's carrying.
Well, okay, so within the church.
Yeah,
No,
within
I'm
the
just saying,
church.
should the public be made known?
Oh.
I got mine when you walk in the door. I mean, let's be honest. We walk in, especially some of our Caucasian conservative brothers church. You go to Church of Kentucky, they're going to let you know, welcome. Give you a little bulletin. You know, we don't tend to do that. But so should it be like a literal security? I got my security polo on. You know I'm security.
I think that would be cool. I think it would be cool. It would. I think it would calm a lot of people's,
Fears,
and just to know that there is a security team. In most of our African American church, the deacons just so happen to be,
I'm dead. No, I'm joking. That's why I had to get some new younger ones. No, I'm joking. But we do have men in our church. And I just asked them to revisit because prior to the pandemic, we had a strategic meeting about who is legally carrying.
Right.
And which weeks who has what they need to have.
Right.
And where are they during the service? Do we got somebody in the back? We got somebody in the front, wherever it might be. And it's never known.
Right.
Now, we all knew Tony Brown.
Tony Brown let you know.
We all knew Tony Brown was going to have something in his bag. And we knew when he walked in with an extra heavy bag and he would set it down in the front row. We knew what he had. But some, I keep in the car or I keep this and all that. And that's a real good point, Brother Martin. One of the arguments against open carry is that often could be this first target. If they see you, they see that that's the person I need to take out first.
Right.
And if that person is unaware, even if they are carrying, they can get, unfortunately, picked off first because they're not itching fingers to every person who walks in the church. So all it takes for you to get past them or around them or see them before they see you, or you're in a lobby, or they welcomed you and they smile and they turn around looking at the next person, and and that creates chaos. But definitely let people know you have security. I think if you're a little larger and you can manage it, like a mixture, just like officers, you have plain clothes and you have uniforms.
Because I think it does. I think it can go both ways. I think that at some point, if you walk in and you see the open carry, it may deter you. It could go both ways. Depending on who you are and what your.
Here's a fact that schools have taught us. The presence of more officers in schools have not lessened school shootings. And those officers have very rarely prevented the school shootings. And the most extreme examples, which is not always the example, and I'm certainly not diminishing that officers have intervened, teachers have intervened, is Uvalde was tragic because the officers never came in. Parkland was tragic. It was said that the officer essentially, and I don't mean to demean the man, but ran away or just stayed away, and he was armed. There have been some instances where the teachers stepped in when the officers did not. Again, I'm not saying that to demean or argue against the presence of officers, but I would say that you don't know what effect it's going to have. A disturbed person or a person on a mission who's not just some afraid, nervous, shaken, am I feeling some kind of, that might be an emboldening thing. Like they came in with evil eyes and, him first. Maybe someone else a little bit more on the nervous side or I hate to say like in a decision, like do I really want to go through with this? They might see that and turn around. I'd rather it be hidden, but ready.
Yeah, me too.
I'd rather it be hidden.
I don't want to know who's carrying. And if I was carrying, I wouldn't want anybody to know. I wouldn't want that attention on me.
Right.
Because I'm watching the crowd, first of all. I'm watching what's going on. And if too many people looking at me, I might get a little nervous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
and church is a place where there's a lot of emotionalism. And white church, black church, doesn't matter. But all of our churches or some of our churches have a lot of emotionalism and things that would be strange anywhere else.
Right.
But are normal in our churches. Nobody's going to blink an eye if somebody just gets up in one of our churches and runs around the church. I mean, we had one of our brother Beckham, one of our beloved brothers and deacons. He would just get up in the middle of a song and just run around the church 2 or 3 times. And second, fall on the floor a couple times, do people things like that. So that's the crazy thing about church security is you don't know what's the Holy Ghost and what's an attack.
You just start shooting.
And then you got, then you got people like using props and stuff. And that's why I am not a fan of in-church skits where people don't know what's going on.
Hey, Brother Beckham was running around like that movie Get Out. Real fast. Hey, you know what? Brother Scott, that is a great comment. I think that's a whole nother show. Usher Board.
I can bring one of my nurses on.
Nurses Guild Board.
But we do have we have the AED training, the CPR training,
Absolutely.
Obviously, the defibrillators, all that kind of stuff. And you're right, you are far more likely to have a medical emergency. Unfortunately, we have several a year. There's just no getting around it when you have a group of people, obviously some elderly individuals who attend that's more likely to be, but you do have to be attentive. And that's the benefit of having, speaking of Scott's other comment when he said, do you outsource? I think the answer for us is no. We mobilize our men.
Right.
And they are well mobilized, trained. I mean, they watch the corners of the church, the doors, the streets. Even when people are parking down the street, they just kind of patrol, walk up and down sidewalks. When we have large events like trunk or treats, they put on the vests, flashlights, the whole thing. And of course, some of them got what they got. But to the point of not outsourcing, that goes to knowing your culture and your people. If they are from within the church, you already know most of who's who.
Right.
Even in larger churches, you know most of who's who, and you know who sticks out. And even with all the wild behavior that might occur in a church worship service and that we just sort of see as the norm, it's crazy how we can tell the difference between just a wild acting out, whatever, Holy Ghost or not, and something completely different. And you would have to know your people. Yeah. And when I say your people, I literally mean black folk.
Absolutely.
Not even your church members. You just got to know your people. I could be at somebody else's church and I could tell what is bucking and shouting, what is prophesying and crying and hugging, and what is them two chicks about to fight. They are about to lay hands for real.
And then also another thing we haven't mentioned and brought up is honestly parking lot security. Especially at a larger church. These cats start laughing.
Because some of our churches got that shack. Speaking of Roscoe.
That's called the security. That's called the security house.
I think Scott called him Roscoe. And he's carrying more than a broom in the parking lot. But our friends down the street, they just rebuilt their parking lot, little monitor booth station. I think it's necessary to a point, but it just makes me laugh because they will always just put like the old sleepy dude in there and he just sit there and make sure kids aren't breaking in cars. You know what I mean? That's essentially, but now we got cameras and that came before cheap camera systems where you can buy an 8-camera system for like $400 now, But those camera systems ain't gonna stop these kids from breaking cars. They're not. They halfway don't catch nothing.
They're gonna be gone by the time the camera get them.
Right. But I mean, again, speaking of cameras, we have the camera systems more. We have gates more. And thank you very much. And Sister Carter said what I, in effect, said earlier. Our security has been operating well for years without openly announcing. We don't announce it. I don't have to get up in church and say, we got security, y'all.
Right.
But our brothers know what they need to do. And as new brothers join, that's why I said revisit.
Right.
I went to our brothers meeting and said we need to revisit because we have new brothers who have joined in the last few years, and some are heavily involved in the church. Some are in that space where they have what they need and know what they need to know to help. And so it's just like, okay, let's just make sure we know everybody who's doing what they do. Sorry, Pastor Patton, he's still not saved. The shirt didn't even do it. He went all the way to Wakanda
and got this shirt.
And still didn't get saved. Okay, and thank you, Pastor. I almost called you Pastor. Brother Scott, that's another one. Now churches are becoming targets of organized protests.
Yeah.
Churches have become targets of organized protests. We just saw it recently with I wish I had the video, but I'll shout him out because I know him. He don't really know me, but I know him and have met him. Pastor Alan Waller in Philadelphia, who I've spoken up well, Reverend Dr. Alan Waller at Mount Enon Baptist Church, Mount Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church. They had pro-Palestinian protesters during the stages of the Israel-Palestinian conflict, the Hamas attacks, and then, of course, Israel attacks Gaza, and then it turns into a Palestinian thing. And Palestinian protesters were going to churches and protesting that churches should speak up. And they were outside his church.
Wow.
He invited them, went out and talked to them, had his security people speak to them first, find out what their intentions. Of course, they just had a message to send. He actually invited them in the church, brought them in front of the church, and said, we just want to let our brothers know that we love them, we are praying for them, and we understand that, they have great concern and they want us to have great concern. And it was a fairly new thing at the time. I mean, the Hamas thing had happened first, and obviously the attention was on Israel being attacked. And then it started to turn a little bit. It's kind of changed. And I don't want to say that that's made the attack any less important, but it turned into the whole Palestinian slaughter thing and they're like, y'all ain't saying nothing.
Right.
And so you have to be prepared. There have been gay rights activists, and there was even like a militant black group that like burst into some churches in in Detroit and Chicago, like during offerings to just like make the whole speech about churches and money and stuff. And they would just get up and shout and scream and stuff. And then we have this thing where, you're not supposed to put your hands, you try not to put your hands on people if they come into the church and have something to say, but it's what other recourse do you have? Like, how far do you go then, Pastor, in a disruption? Not necessarily the feeling that there's a violent threat, but someone is determined to make a point or to disrupt the service.
Well, you know me. you got the wrong one. I ain't looking for the sheriff or nobody else.
Right.
You got the Pastor Patton just said I ain't all the way saved yet.
Act and apologize later.
I am from the Youngstown, but no, I mean I think you have to depends on how far they go. I mean, these protests and sometimes these cats just coming into church and trying to run rush out all over your church. No, we're trying to have church here, bruh. If you want to talk, I have office hours.
Right.
I have office hours to do that. You ain't just gonna come in here and make a spectacle and you got the wrong one, bruh.
I don't kick down your hanging beads in front of your door and come in there and make a point.
Exactly.
And I've never been a fan of that. And I know some people feel like, well, it's fair game if people have a point to make, and then they get into this whole whatever point.
It's not fair for you to run up on my church service.
It's not.
It's not.
And it's terrorizing to people. And I don't care what point you think you want to make. That is not appropriate. We've seen people get up. We saw an unfortunate video with a pastor friend of ours. Somebody wanted to get up and make a point at a funeral and bash other parts of the family. And make everybody else a part of this. Like, I don't care who you are. I don't care where I am. I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm going to cuss my cousin out or the mother or the ex-wife or whoever it might be. And I'm going to do all this on video. Put all this on. That's a whole nother thing. Putting folk on and involving them in your mess. Because you're walking with cameras and all that stuff.
But then you have to be cautious of even that, because if you say get him out, we don't know what he has.
We don't know what
we don't know what him has.
We know what we got.
Right.
But that is the intention sometimes of the disruption, is to create an altercation. And that is true. They want to come so that they can bait the church or the men, whoever it might be, security team, whatever, into an altercation to say they put their hands on me and you can't touch me. Now, thankfully, the one somewhat good thing about what we call stand your ground is that there is now more of an immediate justification for dealing with someone who is posing a direct threat to property or people, or even just being a disruptive force. And in times past, I would have said, no, let it be. And, you have to feed it in the moment of how you're going to address things. I have dreamed and thought about how would I address that? Because here's the other dynamic that we don't talk about a lot. This is all live.
Yeah, that's true.
This is all live in our churches. So 5-6 years ago, I'd have to go a little bit further back because we've been online for a while. But prior to live streaming, if a disruption were to have happened or someone come in with any sort of violent intent, even if it's just fists or whatever, like it would happen, and whatever we needed or chose to share about what happened is what we would share. But with the number of people who watch us weekly, the moment a disturbance was detected and it's perceived that I have had to address something, because we've had it with medical emergencies, the people would immediately start responding and possibly, depending on the issue, start commenting or spreading something's happening at the church right now, which could create even more panic and chaos than you intend, because now you don't even have the chance to deal with the issue in real time before there's all this other commotion and rumors about it. And I mean, everything from what do you do with the video ministry? You know, we've talked a little bit about it, probably need to talk more about, okay, cut directly away, cut the audio. But what if you need video footage of what happened?
It's a lot.
You know what I mean? Like, what if you need, for evidence sake?
Right, for evidence sake.
So if we cut the stream, which we need to do, but for all of us, our streams are directly tied to the cameras that we're using, so you're no longer getting the footage anymore. So that's like that, unless you pull out a phone or try to get it real quick.
Well, and that's the thing, because even if you're recording a lot, there's somebody still recording, even though you're recording, even though you're live. Somebody in the church is still. I watch videos of the church.
Yeah, we get a few people that still record little clips. We don't get a whole lot of that, thank God, because I'm really not a big thing. I don't mind people put little clips. I know Sister Martin. I don't mind that. But folk who will literally sit there and record a whole service, like while the service, I'm like, dude, we have much better quality already on our page. What are you doing? You know,
you ain't friends with their friends,
right?
They want their friends to see the video.
But that's a whole other thing.
Depends on what's going on. Depends on what the situation is. I'm still shooting.
Okay.
Again, depends on what it is.
Unless I give a directive.
Right.
And
that's different.
Honestly, I think for Mike, and I don't think this is really sharing a secret, but the default for him is if he needs to cut off our stream, then he needs to turn on his phone. You know, just record on his phone so that we have a constant record of what's happening in the church. It doesn't need to be publicly broadcast, but we need to know in case we need to prove, hey, this guy jumped up here and pushed 3 of our deacons, and that's why we had to grab, and do what we had to do.
Are you saying cut off the live and then
stream on the phone?
Or just video?
Just video.
Just video.
Just video.
Okay.
This does not need to be public.
Right.
And see, we ran into this, and not just that, by the way, but it's a whole other story of what to stream, what not to stream. But when you have these real deep altar calls and stuff, everything don't need to be streamed.
Absolutely.
A lot of stuff don't need to be streamed. Some of this offense
Well, you got
streamed.
Especially when you're it might not happen as much at the Baptist church, but when you got women falling out.
Oh yeah. Divert the cameras.
I wouldn't shoot nothing like that. Nah.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying, but
but there are some people that show too much.
Yeah.
Show too much. Then again, I don't want to get into that, but yeah. So you have to watch, like, because the very fact that we are streaming, and let's be clear, that might also be attractive to people, that we have to live with the fact that if you become a more prominent or well-known ministry because you're streaming or people see what you're doing, that might elevate your role, you know, because when some people have a point to prove, or especially if they're disturbed or something, they go to some prominent spot. A lot of times they go to some prominent spot. I mean, they say that a lot of people that go into these shootings, and of course, sometimes they're like murder-suicide situations, they have like these grandiose ideals that they're going to go out with a bang.
Right.
And so they want to make the biggest bang at the biggest place they can, the shopping mall.
Joel Osteen's church.
Yeah, Joel Osteen's church. Right.
Not very much bigger than that.
You can't get any bigger than that in Houston. But so I'm appreciative of the conversation, and appreciative that while we are prepared, we will not and do not panic.
Right.
And I think because you're prepared, you don't have to panic.
Right.
And thankfully, a lot of people are more aware of what is the potential of people and things that, again, would have been unthinkable 40 years ago, 30 years ago. I don't remember a significant church shooting, you know, prior to the 2000s. don't remember a significant. Just like I don't remember prominent, school shootings prior to 1999 in Columbine.
But it's different times, and I always say stay ready to keep from getting ready.
Right. Right.
So you have to make sure your people are ready.
And there's nothing wrong with having the conversation, because a part of what caused me to visit what our church was doing, and Sister Carter is correct, they had things in place, was even if I'm the pastor, you come into a church, you don't always get a brief on everything. People were just doing what they were doing and knew to do, and probably talking to the brothers they did it with or whomever, But it's not a bad thing to ask, because somebody asked me, and the answer I had initially, just years and years ago when I first got the second, was I don't know exactly. I'm assuming that our guys know to do, but it sparked a conversation to just tighten up and make sure. And that's why it's important for strategic people to know. While you don't need to announce it to the church, to the public, share all your protocols and all of that, I should know.
Absolutely.
The pastor should know. The key people in the church should know. People who are serving, especially from the back and the front, should know. So even if I'm not up at the pulpit, one of the ministers are, or now just making me think about what I need to kind of share and make sure we know. The person leading the choir, it might be the minister of music at the time, who's standing up there and sees something out there.
Right.
Needs to know who I need to be.
Who needs to talk.
Right.
Because a lot of times the usher is the first person to see.
They are.
These people come in, and, you see somebody who you had never seen before. Maybe it's, 90 degrees and they got on a trench coat.
Correct. But with these kids, it's 90 degrees. They all have on hoodies. So, we're all out of luck at this point. Sheesh. So I really appreciate the conversation. If any of you want to share anything else, we pray for the Lord's safety over all
church.
houses of worship.
Yes.
And I really do believe Christian church, Muslim mosque, Jewish synagogue, Buddhist temple, philosophy, metaphysical, it doesn't matter. People should be able to worship, think, gather, and greet in peace, regardless of who you are or what you believe. You should be able to gather. You should be able to shop. You should be able to learn. We should not have to think about what would happen if somebody walks in. But unfortunately, it's our reality.
Don't nobody throw no more bricks through the chapel. Stop doing that. I think you got wood over it now, right?
No, we got wood over them now, but we actually got a grant to get them fixed. And we're going to cover them next time. Once they're fixed, they're going to be covered with a shield.
And even if you don't think nobody's in there, that's not still ain't your job to mess it up more.
Not at all.
That's just not even church. That's common sense. I don't care if it's a house.
We actually ended up on some guy trying to video blight around the city of Warren.
Yes.
And he put the chapel on his video, and as if it were blight.
Yeah, I seen that.
And I responded. I was like, actually, we suffered vandalism, and we are a historic church, and we have means, but this is a very historic and careful project. And so I don't appreciate you coming on our property to try to make some point again. You don't even know the story behind this building. It is not a derelict building. It is a building that has been suffered attack.
But they showed the chapel and neglected to show the beautiful church
right next door. Exactly, which is comedy, but whatever. But no, I really appreciate the expertise and conversation that we both brought to this. Especially you, Pastor Jeff, with your experience with what you've walked into. I need to get the police chief or the sheriff or somebody. You know what? That's what I'm gonna ask the sheriffs when they come Tuesday night. Are you looking for a church home? Are you looking for a church home? Is there one with a gun? That's gonna be my new call. That's gonna be my new altar call. Is there one with a gun who would like to be a part of the protective service of this church? So I'll see if any of them are in need of a good Black Baptist church to be a part of. But thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show, the conversation. We know it's a serious subject, but we always try to keep it lighthearted.
Looking for nurses for next week.
Yeah, I'm about to do a nurse show. I already got the perfect person. We already got,
They don't wear the white shoes.
Oh, yes.
Do they still wear the white shoes? What?
The white outfits, the white shoes. Seconds got it going on, man.
Yeah, we need to.
Miss Nita walked home with hers in a bag. She's like, I don't wear these white shoes outside. But no, hey, I love it. I love the church nurse. We still got the bed in the back. I found some smelling salts in the cabinet one time. I said, people passing out like that, back in the day. So we really appreciate it. And you know what? I did not. That is comedy. That is comedy. I didn't answer my friend's question about do you have your workers screened? And the answer is yes, and all of our churches should screen child workers.
Absolutely.
I'm being honest, I don't know the specific protocol, but between our preschool and our and that's another reminder, just by him saying that, Pastor Wingfield, it reminds me, since we've just talked about new volunteers, to ensure that we follow through with whatever we have, and if necessary, build on what we have so that we properly protect our children. But thank you all for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Be sure to follow our page and share with somebody. It's great times on here in Sunday night service, man. I always enjoy.
Tuesday night. Don't forget.
Candidates Night.
Forum.
Want to see you there, 6 o'clock, Second Baptist Church, February 20th, 2024. We love y'all. Have a great night.
Peace.
You gonna do walking out?